Okay, so I really do love SpongeBob as a kid. I do. Other Nickelodeon shows, aside from Jim Neutron, Very Odd Parents, and almost any 2D cartoon or 3D cartoon, I love SpongeBob SquarePants. Okay, and if it's live act, if there's like a live action sitcom like iCarly, they can kiss my butt. And I'm not interested in Avatar. They say you say Avatar: The Last Airbender. I say SpongeBob. You say any live action Nickelodeon. I say SpongeBob. And Plankton. Sometimes I just can't wonder if I'm supposed to feel sorry for him or should just hate him, but I think I'll just stick with both. And Plankton has been foiled more times. I mean, he did come close, and at the SpongeBob movie, he actually succeeded, but SpongeBob and Patrick managed to kick back on him and return everything back to normal. And I've seen the origin story of Krabs and Plankton. They used to be friends, but they didn't get along because of making the recipe, and we don't exactly know how the Krabby Patty is made, but we know it got made accidentally. Let's see his evil plans.
He's 1% evil and 99% hot gas. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 evil plans by Plankton from SpongeBob SquarePants.
With my new gang of vicious convicts, you're no match for me now, Krabs.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're paying tribute to some of the nastiest, most clever, and near-perfect plans Sheldon J. Plankton has ever thought up on his never-ending quest to steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula, undercut Mr. Krabs, and dominate the world. If you haven't seen any of these plots in action, there will be spoilers.
Oh well, if you can't escape through the back wall, I guess we'll have to leave through the front door.
Number 10. Professor Plankton's Mind Control Shampoo. When a promotion with superheroes Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy earns big bucks for the Krusty Krab, jealous Plankton decides to use Krab's best new assets to knock him down to size. He creates a special shampoo to hypnotize the elderly heroes into calling the Krabby Patty evil, convincing the townsfolk to eat at the Chum Bucket instead, and SpongeBob's efforts to break the spell can't get through.
Yes! Yes! It's working!
This is one of the rare cases where Plankton doesn't scheme to steal the secret formula, but rather just to undermine Mr. Krabs. Fortunately, even the strongest hypnotism is no match for the Krabby Patty, with a little extra fiber. Number 9. Shelly's Superhighway. Plankton's designed a superhighway that would go through jellyfish fields and over the Krusty Krab, and the townsfolk, minus SpongeBob, Patrick, and Mr. Krabs, actually support the project.
Seems as though the eyes have it.
Now the jellyfish have no home, and the Krusty Krab has officially lost business. Mr. Krabs will have no choice but to sell the secret formula to Plankton and end his life's work for good.
It's time to activate Plan Z-Niner.
That's right. Plankton will even resort to environmental terrorism over a petty sandwich feud, and it nearly succeeds. Thankfully, an outbreak of angry jellyfish motivates the Bikini Bottomites to destroy the superhighway, restoring the jellyfish's home and saving our favorite undersea restaurant.
Wait! I didn't count on all of you working together!
Number 8. Plankton Family Reunion. After 25 years of failure and humiliation, Plankton realizes that it'll take an army to finally beat Mr. Krabs, so he brings together all of his relatives, who end up being a family of hillbillies.
Hey, look, everybody! It's Cousin Plankton!
Regardless, the army storms the Krusty Krab and triumphs. Krabs is incapacitated, and the Krabby Patty formula seems to finally be in Plankton's grasp. Unfortunately, Just when we finally find out what the formula is, it turns out to be a fake recipe planted to scare Plankton off until his next unsuccessful theft attempt. It's sad because the build-up to that point actually made us want to see Plankton win, and he could have, if Krabs wasn't one step ahead. Number 7. Fake injury lawsuit. After slipping on a wet floor, Plankton fakes an injury to take Mr. Krabs to court, and he'll only drop the charges if Krabs hands over the secret formula.
Well, if you transfer the Krabby Patty formula to me, I'll forget your gross negligence.
Scoundrel! You'll have my formula when you pry it from me lifeless claws!
From the start, the case is in Plankton's favor. He wins the jury over with his faux emotional testimony, and luck is not on Krabs' side, due to his own cheapness and SpongeBob's incompetence as a lawyer. Unfortunately, Plankton's cravings for Krabby Patties usually end up being his major downfall.
Finally, it's mine!
Honestly, he could have had the case in the bag if SpongeBob didn't trick him with his primal urges, exposing his act and blowing his whole scam out of the water. Number 6. Befriending SpongeBob. After beating Plankton yet again, SpongeBob hopes that befriending the tiny evildoer might help him change his ways.
F is for fire that burns down the whole town. Use for uranium bombs.
Plankton goes along with it in order to swindle a Krabby Patty, but it starts to look like the plan has backfired, and Plankton actually wants to be SpongeBob's friend. He doesn't even seem to still want the formula.
But I'm saving my appetite for some popcorn at the movies.
Mr. Krabs, rightfully suspicious, exposes the deception, and the little thief gets away with a patty. Luckily, he doesn't make it too far.
It's not what you think.
What is it then? Tell me what you see here.
I don't see anything.
Plankton may never change, even though he even had us fooled. Unfortunately, the Krabby Patty trumps all friendships. It's actually kind of sad when you put it that way.
So far, only one. Let's see.
Crab open 24 hours. Taking advantage of his competitive nature, Plankton fools Mr. Krabs into having the Krusty Krab stay open 24 hours a day.
1,322.
Day 23! Give it up for day
6,650.
All the non-stop work, plus a little extra pressure from the devious little copepod, finally gets to SpongeBob, and he becomes afraid of Krabby Patties.
Let's unload all that harmful information in your little yellow head.
You're a bit smaller than I imagined, Doctor.
Plankton poses as a psychiatrist to try and pry the secret formula from the fry cook's frazzled mind, but only ends up curing him instead.
And here's some chocolate milk.
The king of flavored dairy drinks. Oh, Krabby Patty, I'm so glad we're friends again.
The idea of overworking SpongeBob into the ground until he snaps sounded like a surefire plot at first. Alas, it takes more than exhaustion to fully extinguish the little sponge's work ethic and love for Krabby Patties. Number 4. Employing SpongeBob. The unimaginable has occurred. Plankton wins SpongeBob's contract in a poker game by cheating, and now the young fry cook has to work at the chum bucket.
But Mr. Krabs, I don't want to work for him. I want to work for you here at the Krusty Krab.
His options are either to make his new boss a Krabby Patty or have his brain put into a robot duplicate. Plankton tries to win SpongeBob over with compassion, but it only makes the little square dude more defiant and sassy.
Or should I say Robot Bob Sponge Chef Pants?
The frustrated microorganism goes through with a brain transplant, but the sponge's new bratty attitude still shines through, leaving Plankton begging Mr. Krabs to take him back. It just goes to show that you can never change SpongeBob's loyalty to the stove he loves the most. Number 3. Robo-Krabs. The Krusty Krabs' other most important rule is to only discuss the secret formula with Mr. Krabs, and that sounds like the perfect inspiration for a Robo-Krabs disguise.
Oh, Mr. Krabs, I didn't know you had heat vision.
Keeping the real Krabs occupied, Plankton uses his droid to try and sneak the formula out of SpongeBob, only for the genuine article to return.
Gasp.
However, a confused and stressed out SpongeBob accuses Krabs of being the imposter, and hands the recipe over to Plankton. Once again, it's another seemingly foolproof plan. Gets Krabs out of the way, and keeps SpongeBob guessing long enough to gain his trust. This scheme literally blows up in Plankton's face, however, thanks to a poor design choice. Number 2. Hijacking SpongeBob. In Plankton's self-titled debut episode, He first tries persuading SpongeBob into giving him a Krabby Patty as a friend. When that doesn't work, he has a much more sinister scheme as backup. He sneaks into SpongeBob's head and plugs a device into his brain, allowing Plankton to take full control of his body.
Now it's time for a little wakey-uppy.
Morning already?
He then forces the helpless fry cook to personally deliver a Krabby Patty to his laboratory. For his very first appearance, we see just how much of a threat Plankton really is. He's conniving, depraved, and inventive. He did go to college after all. Had his lust for the patty not distracted him, he could have gotten away with it the first time. Before we unveil our number one scheme, here are a few honorable mentions.
I'll handle things here at the grill, alone, while you man the condiments, huh?
Hey, that's a great idea! But you man the condiments, I'll take the grill. Sorry, but I don't trust anyone with this baby but me.
Drat!
You'll never get this chance again, folks. Free Krabby Patties.
Hey, what's all the hubbub?
Oh, didn't you hear? Someone's giving away free Krabby Patties.
My diabolical, extremely convoluted plan worked. I should have been a politician.
I never give you the formula!
Number 1. Plan Z. It turns out that Plankton had one last scheme in his evil filing cabinet. Plan Z.
It's evil. It's diabolical. It's lemon-scented. This Plan Z can't possibly fail!
He steals King Neptune's crown and frames Mr. Krabs, sentencing him to be frozen until the crown is returned, or else he'll be executed. What makes this Plankton's most devious plot was that his efforts finally pay off. He gets the secret formula, he puts Krabs out of business, he turns the Chum Bucket into a success, he turns all of Bikini Bottom into his empire of slaves, and he nearly has all his enemies killed with one diabolical, lemon-scented scheme. He could have kept it all, had a certain yellow hero not bested him in the end.
His chops are too righteous! The Hellmans can't handle this level of rock and roll!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out
Plan C as number 1. Yep, that pretty much fits. I mean, Plan C, he actually did one. But SpongeBob has to be SpongeBob. He tries to set things right, and look how it turns out in the end. Heroes always triumph. Even if the bad guys won, the good guys will just come back up and beat their ass. Oh. Though, Plankton, this is going to be really dark. But why doesn't Plankton just kill Mr. Krabs, Plankton? Why doesn't Plankton just kill Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, and Squidward? Just kill them, hide the bodies, claim it was self-defense or something, and then you can take the Krabby Patty formula and everybody wins in the end. Well, the bad guys will win in the end. I'm just saying. Plankton, he could just kill them and then take the Krabby Patty formula. The end. No more SpongeBob. But it's a kid's show and we have to be dumb and stuff. So dumb, it's silly. Oh, I think SpongeBob will last forever. No, not really, no. I mean, the voice actor won't last forever, but... Okay, that just went dark.